Whenever your heart is broken, don't ever forget you're golden. I will find the light in your soul, I'll be there.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is going to be discussing about a very popular question that I get a lot. It has to do with binge eating and restrictive eating, just unhealthy habits with diet. I think most of us struggle with... There's Keela. Hey, Mama. Most of us struggle with diet. Majority of us do, because that is actually the hardest part of your journey in general. I mean, anybody can really get in the gym, work out, do some exercises, running, can do a variety of different exercises, or exercise in general. But when it comes to the proper diet, most of us have weird ideas in our head that we've established. We see so much content out there, and it's so much misinformation, misguided information, so we don't ever know exactly what's real and what's not, you know. And so we have a lot of, we're just not very educated. We don't have a lot of great information to have a proper diet to help us meet our goals, and that is overall health, and for your purposes, you know, getting your body to function normally and properly, to either fat loss, to maintain, to gain weight, or if you're competing for something, can be anything specific, sports specific, just anything in general, or just eating healthy overall, having good habits. A lot of women who come up to me and say, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I always end up binge eating. I end up binge eating and I lose all the progress I'm making, or I just give up. Have you ever just sat and thought about what is binge eating? Why do we binge eat? Why does that happen in the first place? So first thing you got to think about is, what was your eating habits before you wanted to change them? Were you eating a lot of processed food, a lot of unhealthy food, a lot of just crappy food, and not eating enough of it, or eating too much of it? What was your diet like before you wanted to make changes to get healthier, to weight loss, or any of that? Now take that in mind. You've had this established eating habit for a long time. So most of us do, going off of limited info, or we search around on the internet. And internet can be a great tool, but it can also be a downfall, your downfall, because there's way too much false information out there, or just information that is put out there that people have not done enough research and have not educated themselves enough, so they just put it out there, so you go off of that. So you start with that. First thing you think of is you cut out all that food. You cut out soda, you cut out fast food, you cut out if you were eating like tons of cereals and Pop-Tarts and various things like that, you just cut them out. Chips, salsa, people who have their specific things that they like, you just cut and dry. But that was something that you've been eating for I don't even know how long. So you've established that eating habit. What happens is your body adapts to it. You get a taste for that. Now, when you cut and dry, it's just like any other habit you do. It could be smoking, for example. It could be drinking. It could be habits you've developed, bad habits you've developed in your daily life. It doesn't even have to do with food or drinking or smoking or any of that. Habits are habits. And when you try to cut and dry a habit that you've been doing for how long, most of the time it's going to come back tenfold. People who want to quit smoking or quit drinking soda, what a lot of people, if done correctly, you slowly decrease the amount that you're doing in a specific way, whatever works for you. You follow a protocol, you follow whatever it is, but you slowly decrease that over a period of time, because in order to change an old habit and build a new one, it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes work. Just like anything in your life, it takes time and patience. That is key. When you're making those changes in your diet, some of us can cut and dry and be fine. We just have that mentality. It works for them. Like for me, example, I can take something and be like, nope, I'm done, and I can cut it out. no problem. But there's some people, a majority of clients that I work with, they have a really, really hard time, but most of it's up here. Well, I'd have to say 100% of it. It's up here. And so, you know, we have to kind of reprogram our thinking for what we're doing. You have to start with small changes. Say you were religious eating, you literally had chips and salsa every single day, soda every single day. You're gonna have to go pick one day a week that you do not have any of that at all. So say you're having it 7 days a week, you're gonna subtract one day, you're only eating it 6 days. And maybe the amount, you might decrease the amount, so you're still having it, but it's less. So you do this every week, every couple weeks, and you go over a period of a month, 2 months, 3 months, that you're slowly decreasing. And that's okay. Most of us get very impatient, so we just want to cut and dry and get results right then and there. But the habits, they can come back times tenfold. And it can be worse. That's where the binge eating comes in. A lot of you are trying to cut all this stuff out, and you go for a period of time, you're feeling really good, but then all of a sudden you get cravings, and you get stressed out, and you want to have something to make you feel better. And that's where a lot of us end up going to those foods and binge eating. We end up eating a whole bunch. We sometimes just go on one day binger. Some of us go on multiple days, weeks, and then we end up starting over again and we cut things out. Now, when you're repeating this pattern back and forth, you cut things out, binge eat, cut things out, you're just creating a new habit from the one you had before. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Habits take time. Routines, everything take time. I always, whenever I work with a client, is I decrease everything, decrease or increase depending on what we're doing, slowly. It's not something I do and throw in or take out right away. So reevaluate what your diet was like before, and then slowly decrease those things out, slowly make changes over a period of time. You're gonna build a longer, better lasting habit if you do it that way. So say if you're a big candy eater, you like your pastries, your donuts, your whatever it is. Start slowly replacing, not completely. Again, pick times and days that you have a certain amount, and then days that you don't have any at all. But then start replacing those things with more natural whole foods, like fruits, for example. Fruits, natural sugars. We like sugar. Majority of us like sugar. Some of us don't. But start replacing those sugary processed items with fresh fruit. Doesn't matter what time of day. If you're craving sweets at night, a lot of us do. Craving sweets at night, replace a normal candy bar or ice cream or whatever it is you would have at night, replace it with fruit. Might not get the satisfaction like mentally at first. Remember, it's all up here. But your body, once you do have, like, say fruit, for example, instead of your normal candies and sugars, your body is going to know the difference. It's smart. And you're actually going to find when you do replace that and eat something, that eventually those cravings are going to subside for those processed things, and you're going to have fruits. They're going to disappear. I know this from my own experience. You guys know I had a big sweet tooth. It was chocolate, Oreos, and all that stuff all the time, and now I am a fruit connoisseur, or whatever you want to call it. I eat a lot of fruit. When I'm having sweet cravings, I eat fruit. And it doesn't matter what time of day, and I don't count how much. But some of you can have a specific amount of servings, but again, that depends on your body's needs specifically. If you're exercising a lot and you're not eating a lot of complex carbs, have more fruits. But if you're eating a lot of complex carbs but not leaving enough room for the fruits, then have less fruit. But you still need to have a serving of fruit in your diet, not only for the craving purposes, but for health, because they have specific nutrients and vitamins that your body needs. and you guys know I've repeated myself several times when it comes to this, is cutting out too much food when you're trying to achieve your goal. Majority of women are trying to cut weight loss and we cut out way too much food, and most common things that get cut out are carbs and fats. Then most of us will eat a lot of protein and vegetables, and we don't eat enough variety of the other things. You need to have a variety and a balance between proteins, fats, healthy fats, complex carbs, not processed carbs like rice cakes and tortillas and breads. I'm talking about like natural things like rices, potatoes, beans, oatmeals, quinoa, various different things that are naturally grown. Having fruits in your diet, fruits are considered a carb because of their glucose content, and they have quick digesting carbs in there. So having a variety of all those, when you're cutting out too much for too long, your body lets you know that. That's why we get cravings. That's why we end up going on binge eating, because we're starving ourselves. We're punishing ourselves. Our bodies are smart. They're going to let you know, I'm missing something. And we immediately go to, because we're craving something specific, we'll just gorge on it. But your body's telling you it's not craving that specific food. It's craving specific things from that food. Nutrients, vitamins, minerals, all of that stuff. That's why we get the cravings. And then we go on these bingers. So just developing and just creating a healthy and proper diet of whole raw nutrient-dense foods and not restricting yourself too much, you're gonna find out that you're gonna have less cravings and less binge eating accidents. The key is not cutting and dry. Some of us just, again, we just go in it too fast. We cut everything out thinking, oh, we just gonna day one cut it all out. But then we end up giving up because we end up having these cravings. But it's because we've developed a specific routine and habit and we're used to those things. So you have to, in order to create a new habit, you have to change the old ones. And those things take time. Just like when you try to get into a workout routine. Like in the beginning, you're like, overwhelmed and you're kind of all over the place. But if you do it long enough, you stay consistent, it becomes part of your lifestyle. You make time for it. There's no stressing out when try to fit it in. It just becomes part of what you're doing. And that's the same thing that goes for diet. So the habits that you had before, to create new ones, they take time. Everyone's different, so it takes time to develop this. It took you however long it was the way you were eating before to develop that habit. Now you have to get out of that habit. So binge eating, when it comes down to it, it's just because you're trying to do too many things at once and too fast that it is overwhelming you. Majority of people end up giving up, and you end up starting over. So to avoid the binge eating, first of all, don't restrict eating. Have a balance of everything. Don't cut out the healthy fats. Don't cut out the healthy carbs. Don't do all of that stuff. You need to have a balance. So you can either hire a professional to help you with that, or if you trust yourself enough to take it upon yourself, do the proper research and understand how much, like what you need to be intaking according to your needs specifically. Also remember, and I've talked about this a lot, is body type. Your body type and how your body responds to certain foods. Some people have developed intolerances, and that could be from anything specific. We have allergies, food allergies, we have health conditions, a lot of things that just have developed over a period of time that we can't change that. So that plays in too. So there's so many factors at play, and you have to just sit down, not just like jump into something without knowing what you're doing. You're not going to jump into a dark hole not knowing what's down in the dark hole, It's kind of like the same thing, is you don't want to just jump into something without knowing what you're doing and what you need and what direction you need to go, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up losing it. You guys know I follow intuitive eating. I don't track what I eat, and I don't measure it. I mean, I kind of have an idea because I've done macros and measuring for so long, but I just wanted to take a break from it. But I cut out all processed food. I cut it all out, and I did. I literally made a decision, but it was when I had an injury, made a decision, cut it out, and I haven't looked back. But now this new intuitive eating is part of my routine. It's part of my habits. It's part of me now. But it is, I eat a whole variety of whole nutrient dense foods, a lot of raw foods, and I just avoid the processed stuff. I treat the processed stuff as a treat, and it's like one meal, but it's not even every week. Sometimes I go like weeks without having something, but I don't crave that stuff. I don't go on bingers because I have a variety. My body's getting everything it needs. It's happy, it's working properly. So I don't get those crazy cravings, and I don't do the binge eating, because I've been there. I have been there, trust me, I've been there. And it was when I was restricting my diet, and when I was like trying to like cut things out, and then I'd go a week and I'd be doing great, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh my god, I want all this stuff, and I would eat so much that I would make myself so miserable and full. My stomach would be distended out here. I'd be miserable, and I'd be hating myself for eating that way. And then I'd be like, Monday, going back on routine again, and I go through the week and I do that. But then it started becoming more days than just one. So you can see how these things happen. So it's just about just looking at the big picture of what you're doing right now and reevaluating everything. Not looking at everybody else, looking at what you're doing and what you've been doing. So what I'm telling you is habits take time to change, guys. So whatever you've been doing before, you can't just stop and dry. You can't just cut and dry it right when you want to. Some people can. They're just kind of like the freaks, you know. I mean, I'm a freak. When I cut something and stop, I can do it no problem, and it's all up here. But for majority of people, it takes time. Routines take time. We have stress in our life. We have things that upset us, and sometimes we resort to eating or doing something specific to make us feel better. Sometimes it's just finding new ways to stress relieve. Like for me, it would be my jujitsu. It'd be going on hikes, going paddleboarding, checking out from everyone and everything, and just focusing on myself, not eating food, not drinking, not smoking, not any of that. So it's just finding new avenues to help your stress than you're eating or drinking or whatever it is. So habits take time to change. They will change with consistency and hard work, and slowly decreasing what you were doing before. And again, you have to just modify it to what works for you. Everybody's different in how they work, how they process things, how they view things. And so you have to do something for you specifically, because what works for me is not going to work for the next person. What works for you is not going to work for me or the next person. So it's just, and this is the great thing about this, is you're learning more about yourself, and you're educating yourself, so you're going to be better off for things that come up in the future, and you could probably even motivate and inspire or educate somebody else as well. So that's what the beauty of this whole lifestyle is. It's learning yourself and progressing in life and evolving and growing. You're going to be putting that on a lot of people too, and showing that positive change. Hopefully this little breakdown of the restrictive eating and binge eating helped, just kind of gave you a different perspective on what's going on, because I know a lot of you guys struggle with that. It's a very, very common question I see all over the place. So anyway, thank you guys again for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this educational video. I will be seeing you guys on the next one. Mwah!